I was standing in my kitchen, sipping cold coffee, when my phone buzzed with a message that turned my stomach upside down. It was a group chat. My bridesmaids were panicking. Apparently, my future mother-in-law, Sharon Whitmore, had personally called each of them to say they were no longer invited to my wedding. No explanation. No warning. Just banned. I felt my heart slam against my ribs. This was supposed to be my day, the one I had dreamed of since I was a little girl. My friends had been with me through everything, heartbreaks, college nights, job losses, and now they wouldn't even see me walk down the aisle? Right there, I put my cup down, grabbed my phone, and whispered to myself, enough. She's not stealing my wedding from me. What would you do if your own mother-in-law banned your best friends from your wedding? Would you go through with the wedding or call the whole thing off? Tell me in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Before all this drama, my life felt like something out of a cozy rom-com. I had just gotten engaged to Ethan Parker, the sweetest guy I had ever met. He was kind, thoughtful, and had this calm energy that made me feel safe. When he proposed under a string of fairy lights at our favorite lakeside park, I thought nothing could ruin our perfect story. Enter Sharon Whitmore, Ethan's mom. At first, she seemed lovely. She brought me flowers the first time we met and said she was so excited to finally have a daughter. But little by little, her enthusiasm became controlling. It started small. She suggested a different color palette, insisted we use her family's church, and then told me she had already booked her friend as our photographer. I tried to tell myself she just wanted to help. Then, 2 weeks before the wedding, I got the message that changed everything. My bridesmaids, Maddie, Claire, and Harper, texted me in a frenzy. Sharon had personally called each of them, saying their behavior wasn't aligned with the wedding's atmosphere and that they were no longer welcome. I froze, staring at my phone. Maddie had been my best friend since we were 12. Claire had flown in from across the country just to be part of this. Harper had spent hours helping me with DIY decorations. Tears burned in my eyes. This wasn't just about flowers or venues anymore. Sharon wasn't just planning the wedding, she was erasing my people from my life event. And that was the moment my heartbreak began to turn into anger. I spent that night sitting on the bathroom floor, mascara streaked down my cheeks, scrolling through old pictures of me and my friends. Every bridesmaid dress fitting, every cake tasting, every late-night planning call. It all flashed through my mind like someone was ripping pages out of my story. When Ethan came home, I thought he'd be furious on my behalf. Instead, he sat next to me, rubbing the back of his neck nervously. "Babe," he said softly, "my mom just wants what's best for us. Maybe your friends have been stirring things up." I stared at him, speechless. Maddie? Claire? Harper? The women who had been nothing but supportive? She banned them, Ethan, I shouted. From our wedding. Do you hear yourself? But Ethan just sighed and muttered, "Can we just keep the peace until after the wedding?" That night, I barely slept. I tried calling Sharon the next morning, hoping this was some misunderstanding. She answered with a syrupy tone and said, "Sweetheart, weddings are about family, not outsiders. You'll thank me later." I hung up before I said something I'd regret. My chest felt heavy. This wasn't just about 3 chairs being empty at the reception. It was about me being silenced in my own life. Over the next few days, I tried everything, convincing Ethan, reasoning with Sharon, even offering compromises. Nothing worked. The final straw came when Sharon sent me a revised seating chart with her book club friends in place of my bridesmaids. I felt something snap inside me. I wasn't going to cry on the bathroom floor anymore. I wasn't going to sit quietly while someone bulldozed over my dreams. No. If Sharon thought she could rewrite my story, she was in for the shock of her life. I stopped arguing. I stopped crying. I stopped explaining myself to people who clearly didn't care how I felt. Instead, I smiled sweetly, nodded when Sharon talked, and told Ethan I just wanted a stress-free wedding. On the outside, I looked like I had surrendered, but inside I was planning. Late at night, I texted Maddie, Claire, and Harper in a private group chat, my secret squad. I told them not to worry, not to buy into Sharon's drama, and to keep their dresses ready. I started making quiet phone calls during my lunch breaks, asking about venues, caterers, and rentals. I hid receipts in a folder marked work expenses so Ethan wouldn't find them. Every time Sharon sent me a new update for the wedding she thought she was controlling, I just smiled because I knew something she didn't. By the week of the wedding, I was ready. And when my moment came, I was going to take it. The morning of the wedding, Sharon showed up at the original venue hours early, clipboard in hand, barking orders at the florist. She had no idea the entire event had been moved. Meanwhile, I was across town, standing in a sunlit barn venue I had booked 2 weeks earlier, rustic wood beams, twinkling fairy lights, and every detail exactly how I wanted it. My heart raced as I saw Maddie, Claire, and Harper slipping into their bridesmaid dresses, grinning like co-conspirators. "Are you sure about this?" Maddie whispered. I looked in the mirror, smoothing the lace on my gown. "Positive," I said. "This is my wedding day, not hers." Guests began to arrive, surprised but delighted by the new setting. Ethan walked in, confusion all over his face. What is this?" he asked. "It's our wedding," I said firmly. "But this time it's mine too." When Sharon finally found out and stormed in, her face went pale. She spun around, seeing my friends standing proudly at my side, the music playing, the ceremony about to start. "You can't just," she sputtered. "Actually, I can," I said calmly, my voice steady. "You tried to erase the people I love from my day. You tried to erase me. But I'm done letting you control this." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Ethan stepped closer, glanced between me and his mother, and then finally, took my hand. "She's right, Mom," he said. "This is her wedding day. You need to respect that." Sharon's jaw tightened, but she had no choice. She sat down, silently fuming, as the ceremony began. And as I walked down the aisle surrounded by the people who mattered most, I felt free and powerful. When the ceremony ended and the music started, I looked around at the smiling faces, my friends laughing at the bar, my aunt tearing up on the dance floor. Ethan finally relaxed for the first time in weeks, and I felt something I hadn't felt in months: peace. This wasn't just about a wedding. It was about finding my voice again. For weeks, I had let Sharon dictate what my dream day should look like. I had let her opinions bulldoze my joy. And somewhere along the way, I started to believe that maybe I didn't deserve to fight back. But standing there in my own venue, with my bridesmaids by my side and my husband's hand in mine, I realized something important. I hadn't just taken my wedding back. I had taken myself back. Revenge didn't look like screaming or throwing a scene. It looked like smiling while I walked down an aisle Sharon didn't pick, holding the hands of the people she tried to erase, and saying my vows without fear. I learned that setting boundaries doesn't make you a bridezilla. It makes you someone who values herself enough to demand respect. And honestly, that was the best wedding gift I could have ever given myself. The weeks after the wedding felt like stepping into a new chapter of my life, one that I had written on my own terms. Ethan and I left for our honeymoon without a single ounce of tension hanging over us. For the first time, I could look at him and know we were truly on the same team. When we got back, Sharon called me. Her tone was softer this time, not syrupy fake, but genuinely careful. She admitted she had gone too far, and said she hoped we could start fresh. I told her calmly that if we were going to have a future relationship, she needed to respect my boundaries. And, to my surprise, she agreed. Maddie, Claire, and Harper still joke about the great wedding takeover of the year. We laugh now, but they all tell me they've never been prouder of me for standing up for myself. I hung a photo from that day in our living room. Me in my dress, my friends cheering behind me, Ethan grinning like a fool. Every time I walk past it, I smile. Because that day wasn't just about saying I do. It was about saying yes to myself, to my voice, my choices, and my happiness. And honestly, I wouldn't change a single thing. Looking back, I realized something important. Sometimes revenge isn't about hurting them. It's about saving yourself. I didn't ruin Sharon's life. I didn't even scream or cause a scene. I simply took back what was mine. My day, my choice, my joy. And that was enough. So what do you think? Would you have done the same thing if your mother-in-law tried to erase your friends from your wedding? Would you have canceled the wedding or found another way to take control? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe if you love hearing stories where justice is served.